That's what they've got to do to make India bat again. That's what they've got to do to make India bat last on this pitch. You've got a feeling, though, that England are the ones that are going to bat last on this pitch. Man comes out in front of the wicket on the offside, close. But this one is left alone by Sibley, and there is no run. Dave, give me some tweets.
Yes, I can. I would like to say hi on Hot Mic. Don't forget you can download the Hot Mic app in order to sync the your TV coverage with the radio. And on Hot Mic, we've got a bit of activity here, including Adrian, who says India proving that any complaints about the wicket are just an excuse. Well, we know that. And we've got Carl has been in touch again to say hello to you all. And I'm still waiting to hear back from Daddy Delight. He's only sent us the one message today. So Daddy Delight, if you're there, get in touch.
I don't really know what to make of that handle. It could mean so many different things. Crawley has 5, Sibley has 1. Bairstow, Root, Stokes, Pope, Lawrence, Folkes, Bess. That's about as far as England. But there's Leach as well, I suppose. But it's Crawley taking his guard. And, a little bit of pace before lunch. But after lunch, straight into the attack is this man.
Faced up against the spin.
First ball is dealt with well by Crawley. Just drops onto the front foot, defends it close to him, and doesn't run very far into the offside. Here's Ashwin again. He's got men round the corner, and that one has turned, and Rishabh Pant has not been able to grab hold of it. And I think that's run away, possibly for buys. No, leg buys. It did clip the pad on the way through. That's why it was so difficult for the wicketkeeper. England move into double figures.
That was jumping really sharply off that length, and it's gone to the left of Punt. He couldn't quite get a hand to it. I don't know if many keepers would have got a hand to it. He was going a little bit late on that. Very late dive also from the slipper, and they managed to get 4 at that point.
This is a pleasant drive from Crawley. He's going to take the run there. No, he's not. He's hit it straight to mid-off, and it's swiftly back in the hands of Ashwin. Yeah, that did turn a lot. That would have been a very dangerous ball to a left-hander, that's for sure. I didn't think it was leg buys. I don't think it touched anything. Oh, he's edged it, has he? He has! Crawley has gone. The first England wicket is down. It was a repeat of the dismissal, I would say, of Ben Folkes in the first innings, taken comfortably by Rahane. And the England collapse, the final one of the winter, is underway.
Oh, so disappointing for poor Crawley. I think everyone wanted him to make a score. We really want these two openers to get something on the board before they're out for single figures.
Yeah, well, unfortunately for Crawley, he's trying to play with his bat in front of his pad, and that's probably the one that just moves away ever so slightly. He's maybe played a little bit across it or a little bit too early, turned the face slightly, and that has brought about the edge. Kat, it looks like it's going to be now India and New Zealand in the final of the World Test Championship. Do you think, to draw attention away from that, we should have an extra Ashes test in June?
Yes, why not? England could come to Australia. They can play up in Darwin or somewhere where they're good. That'd be fabulous.
Yeah, Darwin or Cairns, isn't it? That's when they when they played Bangladesh a couple of times, didn't they?
Yeah, they could alternate, couldn't they? Yeah. They could alternate, maybe one in the centre of Australia. That'd be a fabulous series. We could call it something different, maybe not the Ashes.
Yeah,
we need a new name for it. Could people online get some tweets in suggesting what we would call that in-between series?
The alternative World Test Championship, or is that too boring? That's a bit boring, isn't it?
No, that's quite good.
Johnny Bairstow, oh my goodness, poor old Johnny Bairstow's the lamb to the slaughter. He's coming out to bat. Ravi Ashwin, they bowled 4 balls. He's taken the wicket already.
What a resounding vote of confidence, Hendo.
What happened to Johnny Bairstow coming in number 3?
No, your comment about him, lamb to the slaughter.
Well, he is kind of. I feel like he's. I love Johnny Bairstow. I mean, a lot of people don't, but I do, and I really want to see him succeed. But he had that they should have taken him to India when after he'd had a reasonable tour of Sri Lanka, rather than sending him home and then it sort of leaving him to take that horrible, lonely journey all the way back to Ahmedabad. Anyway, we'll jingle
that was a disaster.
Yeah, that was awful, wasn't it? We'll jingle Johnny up because he's got a long jingle, so we'll hope he'll survive the next 2 balls, and then we'll be able to play you it.
Johnny Best has been this good since daycare, so all put on your wigs and let the crimson hand blow.
Well, there you go. The jingle was quick. He's caught. He's caught first ball. He's caught a leg slip. What on earth was he doing? We don't have time to play the full jingle. Johnny Bairstow is on Dom Sibley, who came out and gave him advice as he walked to the pitch. Just stands nonplussed at the other end. England are 10 for 2. Johnny Bairstow has gone for a 3rd naught in 4 innings. I mean, really, what are you doing, Johnny?
I mean, Hendo.
Did you look at the field?
There is England's rest and rotation policy summed up in one shot.
Well, but you've also got to say, what's the batsman thinking of? Because
I particularly like how Knackle managed to predict that. He didn't wait the 2 balls to play the jingle because he knew he was going to be out.
He knew something was bound to happen.
Yeah.
Well, goodness me, Ashwin has 2 wickets for no runs, I believe. England is 10 for 2. He's turned 1 down the leg side, which went for 4. Should have been byes, was given as leg byes. And now he's taken 2 wickets in successive balls. And people were talking about this might be the last test for Johnny Bairstow.
Can I expand my thesis, Hendo?
Go ahead.
Well, he was getting into test match form in Sri Lanka. He was digging in, looking like a test match player.
Yeah.
Scored a lot of runs in first-class cricket. He's no mug, is he? He's one of the best players in county cricket. And so what do? We send him on a round-the-world journey in order to walk his dog for 2 weeks and then bring him back and throw him straight out there. Ashley Giles, it all comes back to Ashley Giles and the poor decisions that have been made, not treating this seriously as a series. They wouldn't do this during an Ashes series. I've said it before. I'm sorry if it's boring, Hendo, but why don't we take an England-India series as seriously as an Ashes series?
Well, we should do, absolutely. I mean, especially when we've got a 4-test series or a 5-test series in India. Joe Root has sort of wandered out. He looks resigned.
Joe Root took a long time to get out too. Do you reckon he was?
Well, he was probably trying to get his pads on. No, exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't really want that image, but now I've got it. I'll have to live with it.
Yeah.
Yes, he's on a hat trick. Oh my God, we've already had a hat trick in international cricket this week. Are we about to get another one? Lord, no, not if Joe goes. I mean, we're all out for 23 here, aren't we?
Now, Knuckle, the big question is: are you going to play the jingle for Joe Root, or just wait 1 ball?
Hold on. Don't do it. You're tempting fate. There are men everywhere around the bat. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's also a short mid wicket, 2 on either side, and the short mid wicket, so 3 on the leg side. Joe Root is just taking his time in scratching out his guard. There's a lovely big gap on the offside should he wish to aim a drive at this one. Here we go.
They're so close that they've all got. If one of them's got COVID, they all have. They are.
Well, exactly.
So close to
It's
each
not
other.
social distancing, is it? It's absolutely ridiculous. Anyway, here we go. Hat-trick ball. In comes Ashwin. Bowls to Root. Root steers this through the 2 close men on the side and gets a single. He gets off the mark. Root has 1. Sibley has 1. Ashwin has 2 for 1. England are 11 for 2. Dave, what are they saying on Twitter? I don't want to know.
No, you don't. You don't want to know. But before we get there, Anna Forsyth says she genuinely thought you meant an actual cat was on screen. I must admit, I thought that for a moment when Annie said the cat. But Anna's pleased to know that Cricket Back Cat is even better, though less fluffy.
But she does have a cat. You do have a cat,
Yeah.
don't you, Cat? You do have a cat. We've seen your cat.
Yes. The
Diana-
cat is my profile pic.
Diana Abbott says the alternative World Test Championship could be called the Embers. And Ravi on a similar theme.
Oh, beautiful! That
Ravi
is
says-
worth just a little a beat of appreciation. Thank
Well,
you. Embers was
indeed.
perfect.
Yeah, and maybe Ravi says maybe we could call it the dust, ashes to ashes and dust to dust, so as in the dust. And
Very good.
Although Chris TB says call it the World Championship Test. I'm not sure about that.
Should it be the Test World Championship? We're obviously not good
Yeah.
enough to get into the actual thing, so it should be the Test.
And Peter from Southsea just says unbelievable, referring to Johnny Bairstow's innings.
Defended the first ball of Akshar Patel's new over to not Johnny Bairstow, if only Joe Root, and he defends it back to the bowler. Oh my goodness me!
Would you like to guess at Mog's tweet, Hendo? Would you like to have a guess? 2 words.
I'm sure there are. Outside the off stump, left alone by Root as it turns away from him.
One of them's
Sweary.
doomed.
2 sweary words.
2 very sweary words from Mog, I imagine.
I think Knuckle wants to say something.
We'll come back to that in a minute. Oh, no, that turns. He's going to appeal for LBW there. And if it hasn't hit a bit of bat, he could be in trouble here. Virat Kohli is waiting for
Considering they're considering the. I like the appeal from Akshar as well. He puts both hands out as if he's an aeroplane. That was a very nice little appeal there.
Yeah, very good. We'll have to watch out for that one. Unusually, Virat Kohli has made a decision before the final second of the DRS clock. Oh my word! It's hit him on the
very
back
close.
pad. Well, I'd like to see ball
It was
tracker on
taking
that.
off stump, surely.
I think so. It may have just been clipping the top or just over the top. This one is left alone by Root. Seeing another replay of this one, it's a lovely delivery. It pitches. Did it pitch outside leg, perhaps? Just
Maybe.
a little bit. It's turned a long way.
We need the vote on Twitter. Do you want us to jingle up Root, or would you rather we just wait and hope he gets a few runs first?
Oh, that's a point. Should we jingle him? He's only got a short jingle. He's forward to that one. He defends it up the onside of the pitch past the man at short leg, who's come a little bit straighter. And there is no run. Here we're going to look at it. Ball tracker is going to tell us it's hit him on the back pad, and it would have been umpire's call. Umpire's call. Thank
So,
goodness. the
are we
umpire didn't
saying-
answer.
Are we saying the very act of jingling now is a commentator's curse?
I think it might be driven by Root. They might get a single here. They do, in fact, get a single. It's the second single that Root's got off the final ball of the over. He's kept the strike. He's moved to 2. Has he got the guts? Has he got the impetus? Has he got the Has he got the will to grind this out? We shall see. England are 12 for 2.
The light roller says this is painful to watch. Mog, the 2 words. One of them was doomed, and the other one was effing doomed, or as you can imagine, the full version. Mog, bit early for me to say that, but others will. Armchair Cricket Podcast says, "Oh dear, for the second time in 2 innings of consecutive tests, Bairstow follows Crawley back to the hut immediately. Root walks in to salvage the innings, can't help but feel for him." And Leah reproduces the conversation that went on during the innings break. Ground staff, which roller do you want? Root. I'll have the Sherman Crab, thanks. Ground staff, your choice, mate. 2 minutes later, it looks like a beach. But in fact, I don't think the strip hasn't changed colour.
Ashwin bowls to Root. Root guides this to short mid wicket. Virat Kohli very keen in that position, does the fielding, and there is no run. Oh, Johnny! I mean, it was a little airy flick, as if he was just about to take a nice single. Now Root has brought out the sweep. He's played it quite fine, but he's only going to get 1. He moves to 3 and exposes Dom Sibley to Ravi Ashwin, which is probably not a wise thing to do. Is it fair now for Root to just take all the strike?
He needs to, I think. Yeah,
I
that would be
think
good.
so.
That was an angry slashing sweep. I think it was. I think more passion than we usually see from Root there.
Yeah, a bit of annoyance, wasn't there? He's thinking, what on earth have I got to do? Have I got to hold this team together for the rest of the year? Jesus. Ashwin in, goes wide on the crease. Sibley dances a little way down the pitch and then clips it up to mid-on, or deep mid-on, and they take an easy single. England move now to 14 for 2. Could have been 14
What
for
did
3.
Joe Root make? What did he make in the first innings? 5. He made
5, yeah, and he was out to Siraj, wasn't he? Mohammad Siraj bowled really well to him.
Yeah.
There are no easy bowlers against India these days at all. I remember the days of Abid Ali opening the bowling for about 3 overs, really military medium pace, and then disappearing for the rest of the day, pretty much.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's going to be Ashwin round the wicket now. to Root, just changing the angle. Root goes back deep into his crease, plays it defensively. And
big puff of dust there as he went back, so kind of drying out nicely, this pitch.
yeah, there'll be some footmarks from Axel Patel coming round the wicket perhaps at that end. Root goes back, doesn't make the mistake of clipping straight in the air to the man at leg gully. He gets it down into the ground quickly. It's fielded by Gill at short square leg. This is Joe Root's 50th Test match as captain. What a horrible experience it's been for him. He plays the sweep again as he goes right down, but they've got a very well positioned field. I think that is Axel Patel, in fact, in that position. No, it's not. It's who was that? It was Washington. Washington Sundar. And that is the end of another over, and Root has done it again. He's definitely not trusting Dominic Sibley. He's taking runs at the end of the final ball of every over. England off 15 for 2.
The birthday boy, Mayank. Oh, sorry, Kat.
Here you go.
The birthday boy, Mayank, says you could call that England versus Australia test the sore losers trophy. Nice one, Mayank. Anything you say today is going to keep us amused. It's your birthday. Steve Wick says, oh boy, just switched on. Any records that are still in play, we're doomed. And Messages, great to hear you on the Gorilla yesterday, Messages, says England's opening partnerships in this series. I'll go through the stats in a moment, Henry. Don't make pretty reading.
That's going to be horrific. Root is forwards to Axel Patel. He's got a slipper gully and a short square leg.
Do you want to hear them?
Yeah, go for it.
63, 0, 0, 17, 2, 0, 10, 10. Not lottery numbers, they are England's opening partnerships in this series.
England's batting is the lottery, as I say that. Patel is in again. Oh, back to that one. I was worried. He went right back onto his stumps there and it sped through. And even Joe Root looks slightly embarrassed by going back to that. He's just about kept it out. If it had kept a bit lower, he might have been in trouble.
I'm a little uncomfortable with him going back to any of these balls. I'd rather he got to the pitch of it.
Yeah, that's right, but that is the way that he plays spin. He's gone back to this one. He's forced it, but hasn't really found the gap. It's fielded at backward point, and there is no run. 7 dismissals in this series. He's been out LBW 5 times, we're told on the screen. That's kind of worrying. After that good start he had to the winter, and in fact here in India, gone for the sweep, got top edge. Is it going to carry? No, it's going to go quite fine. Pujara is out there, and he'll pick up 2 runs, breaks that little run of singles. England go to 17 for 2. Root is on to 6.
Root was fortunate there that Pujara was a bit wider. He was more towards cow corner, and if he'd been in position, he may well have. That went backward a square, but he may well have got there. That was a very bad miss hit.
Yeah, didn't get hold of it at all well. Root defends this one. It's a quicker ball into the onside, and there's no run. We've got 1 ball to go, so you can imagine that Root will be looking for the single to protect Sibley. He's going to have to do a lot of this, isn't he? He's going to have to protect everybody from here on in, really. And he's Axel Patel. He's into Root. He's gone back. He's forced off the back foot, but straight to extra cover. Backward point. And have they come through for the single there?
No, I don't think so. I think it was a dot.
Oh, sorry, it was my mistake. It was Sibley who was facing, wasn't it? Because they got the single to deep backward square. So Sibley has decided to return the compliment by taking a run off the final ball.
Yeah.
Dave.
Well, yes, Harriet Atkinson. Hello, good morning to you, Harriet. She says, we're an optimist. You say we're looking on the bright side. Well, at least Indian first innings had 2 ducks, and England only have 1 for now. Any little port in a storm. South Sea Peter says that Root is looking weary, and has he booked his flight home for later today?
Could be. Onto the back foot goes Sibley. I'm told that they got 2 off the previous delivery, and then they didn't get a run off that final ball. So it was Root facing, and I'm all about face. I've been thrown into confusion by what's going on out there. All this turns a long way, but Sibley has cleverly enough got so far outside off stump that no one in their right mind could give that.
He almost caught that one between his legs, and he's looking very off balance as he's defending these balls. I'm not surprised Root's trying to take the strike.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a flatter, quicker one, which he jabs at the last moment. And punt comes from behind the stumps to do the fielding. I'm just
His
looking at that
footwork
one
is
again.
all over the place. It's almost ballerina-like as he's facing some of these deliveries. He's got his feet almost tangled up with each other, and I don't think he normally does that.
This is flicked past mid-wicket. Sibley has got a run. He's got a third run. England moved to 18 for 2. Ashwin 2 for 5. Oh, we're seeing a presentation at lunch. I presume that's to Sunny Gavaskar. It's his birthday, isn't it? Did someone say? I thought I read that. He gets something in a sort of glass case. Oh, it's an enormous Indian cap.
I think it's for the role he's played in the commentary box, but supporting the Indian
The
team.
BCTI. Yeah, I think you could be right there.
It's the 50th anniversary of his Test debut, I think we'll find.
I thought it was also his birthday. Oh, I thought it was also his birthday, but there you go.
Yeah. Oh,
Maybe I've
happy
got-
birthday, just in case.
Whatever. Which of course means if it is Mayank, you share your birthday with Sunil Gavaskar, so that's pretty good, isn't it? Round the wicket now to Root, and Root goes back and punches past Ashwin and through acres of space at mid-on. Goes out to long on, they take the single.
Matt, is that an Antipodean twang that I've detected? I haven't had the pleasure before of being on with
you
you.
not met Cat? Cat
It
meet
is.
Dave.
Oh. Hello,
There you go.
Dave. Yeah, it's Australian, not New Zealand, but I prefer the Indian and the English team to Australia, just quietly. There's no
Okay.
Australians listening.
Oh, that's
is there?
interesting.
Yeah.
That's
We
interesting.
do
Yeah.
have a few Australians like that. Which
So India
Yeah.
versus Australia, you'd be shouting for India?
Quite often, yes. Unless Australia are the underdog, and then sometimes I give them a go.
this is outside the off stump. He plays inside the line, although it does turn. He plays inside the line enough that he doesn't edge it, and that is the end of the over. Dave, more tweets.
Yes, indeed. We have Merv84 has given us some stats on quite how poor Bairstow's second innings numbers are in India. They don't make good reading at all, and Bairstow's. I'm just going to try and find them for you, but in fact, there's so few of them that I can't actually detect them on the skyscraper. They don't actually make it. They don't register. Second innings runs for Bairstow. Anyone like to guess?
No, he's got a reasonable. He's actually until the last test, he had a reasonably good average in India. Axar Patel round the wicket to Root. Root defends on the line of middle and leg, and the ball runs back down the pitch to the bowler. He was averaging 41 before he came back to after the first two tests. Now he probably wished he'd stayed in Yorkshire. Patel again into Root. Root's forward again, plays this one to the man who's moved from short square leg to silly mid-on. It's the same man though, Shubman Gill. And Axar Patel very accurate, just for 4 runs from his 4.2 overs. Root goes back and plays a little bit across the line at that one. Gets it out towards deep mid-wicket. I think that's Washington Sundar coming in off the fence to do the fielding. And
Another very sharp swatting kind of shot from Root.
yeah,
Yeah.
Not
Very
quite
sharp backswing on that.
that was more like a Johnny Bairstow type shot from a couple of years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, maybe more than that in fact. We're looking at
Maybe Bairstow could have stayed in Sri Lanka, Hendo. Had a couple of weeks in a 5-star resort, save him the round the world trip, because that's quite wearing for a rest.
I would have thought so. I would have thought so. I suppose it depends whether you're okay with air travel, but I'm not, and I don't like it, and I wouldn't want to do that. Patel is in, bowls to Sibley, quicker ball, gets the bat in front of pad, plays it to silly mid-on, and there is no run. If I just sit in it's 13 hours, isn't it? Something like that to India, 12 or 13 hours.
Then he had a 7.5-hour coach ride, didn't he?
Yeah, that's right. And he had, I think he had to walk the rest of the way. Defended towards mid-off.
As long as he had a rest, that's the main thing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the thing is, any good he had from the rest would have been spoiled by how long it took him to get back, wouldn't it? Yeah. Axar Patel completes the over. Swept! Oh my goodness me, he's not going to be out, is he? He is going to be out in the most unfortunate way. Poor old Dom Sibley. I don't know what you can make of that. He's absolutely creamed this into the man at short leg, and it is looped off some part of his body, some part of his anatomy, and it's brought the easiest of catches. I think it was possibly the keeper who took it in the end. But England are 20 for 3. Well, Shubman Gill has proved his worth in that position. Sibley doesn't want to go.
They are going upstairs for this, but the soft signal is well and truly out. And did anyone see that in real time? What did it ricochet off?
Well, I don't know. I mean, you saw him cream it, and you thought, well, he's got hold of that well. And then you saw people standing around waiting for the ball to come down. We're going to see now. He'd gone just behind square, ever so slightly behind square, and it was swept. It's going to hit him where? Oh my goodness! It's hit him on the knee.
Yep.
Now, without knee pads, that would be a broken kneecap. He is limping about. Takes the catch. Shubman Gill has gone to ground, clutching his knee, and poor Dominic Sibley is clutching his head in disbelief because that is going to be given out. That is really.
Shubman Gill should really get the credit for that. I mean, if he hadn't jumped up in the air in the anticipation of being hit, it may not have hit his pad. So it was a good little leap.
Oh, it was a good little leap. But it was kind of good positioning because he'd been at silly mid-on really for Root, and then he went much squarer. But I think this is a sign, isn't it? This is the sign that they really should just get the engines running on the 737 and get back quick. I'm not sure a 737 would get that far, which would be typical for England. They'd probably crash on the way home. Anyway.
Ravi's been in touch, Hendo. He said about the Gavaskar thing. Yeah, it's not just Mayank's birthday. It's the 50th anniversary of Sonny Gavaskar's Test debut. First of the truly legendary Indians. Second highest run collection by an opener. Most centuries, I think, by an opener. That's a challenge to you, Knuckle, there. Most centuries by an opener, Gavaskar. Adrian Lowe says, good morning, chimps. Thank you for trying to cheer us all up. Crock of shite. Josie Oak. Hello, Josie Oak says, India is not that good. England is abysmal. Leah says, England seem to have decided that I don't deserve cricket with my cold brew coffee later. Effing Bradman, the lot of them. Yes, a lot of people will be disappointed if they don't get a full day's cricket today. They'll be very disappointed. And the light roller says, who was the duffer in 1981? Not something to be proud of. Don't know the answer to that. The duffer in 1981.
Don't know what that's all about. Onto the back foot goes Root. New over. Sorry, we should have a change. I'll do it. I'll change at the end of this over. I just got so carried away with the dismissal of Dom Sibley, who's. I suppose it evens up a couple of things that happened earlier in the Test series. The Pujara one that we alluded to this morning. Root tries to sweep from outside off stump. It loops off his pad to the hands of Rahane at slip, but no edge involved. It's so hilarious when you see it again because it hits Gill and he starts limping and flying away. Are they taking a catch around the corner here? Joe Root says no, he's grinning about it, but it popped up off his pad. You wouldn't put anything past this England team at the moment. I'm reduced to hilarity, I'm afraid. Shubman Gill is just one of the best. It's one of the best leaps, injury leaps I think I've ever seen. Short from Ashwin and forced off the back foot. Lovely shot this time from Root. I'm not sure it's going to go all the way. Maybe caught up by Pujara. No, he's straining to get there. And England, to much relief, have a boundary. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Trying to work out how many England wickets I've taken this series. It must be quite a few. Because I'm not doing.
We're blaming you, Hendo.
Yeah, England Open. Thrown up and driven this time. Another lovely shot, despite the dive by the man at a wideish mid-off. He won't get to that. Successive boundaries for England. Oh my goodness. 28 for 3. They're only 132 behind. One more ball and I can just go off and be hysterical in a bedroom somewhere. Put myself on.
Glorious falls there through the offside by Root. And Stokes is still at the non-striker's end, hasn't faced a ball yet. So another potential duck pending.
Oh no! And he's got to face Ashwin, hasn't he? And Ashwin's got him out. I think he's his biggest bunny in Test cricket, isn't he? He's got him out 12 times. He's round the wicket to Root now. Root goes back and plays this down into the grounds to Gill at short square leg. That is the end of the over. It'll be a break from me. The next commentator you'll hear will be Al. You'll also hear Annie, and you should hear Jack if he's made his way. It's time for Al to take over for the next 3 or 4 wickets in half an hour. Enjoy it, chaps.
I I fell asleep for 10 minutes. Did I miss anything? No.
I've been enjoying listening to Hendo laughing.
Yeah, I've been listening to him and slightly worried by him as well.
Yeah, he's getting hysterical. It's not good for him.
Good morning, Annie. How are you doing?
I'm all right. I'm a little bit more awake than when I was thrown into commentary early on this morning.
so go.
I'd literally just crawled out of bed and then all of a sudden, I was just going to wake up. But there you are. I managed to say a few things then.
And good morning to you, Jack. How are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad, Al. I think I'm probably in a similar state to Annie was earlier on. Then about half an hour ago.
Oh right, so you've seen the wickets then?
Well, I've just I turned the TV on to watch the last one live. Before that, I was showering. More interesting things.
We will jingle Ben Stokes in just a moment as Axar Patel comes over the wicket to Stokes, and it takes a combination of body and pad and dribbles into the leg side, and there'll be no run.
Ben?
8 for 3.
Ben Stokes.
We might need all of that, as that ball is too short, and Stokes will turn that ball to a deep square leg and will get off the mark.
Yeah, we should jingle Root up as well, shouldn't we? Or is it bad luck? I think we.
Well, I don't know how many jingles you're behind, so if you want to cheat moments between balls, mate, I'll happily let you.
The stroke plays diverse and as sweet as a slice of Battenberg. Extra, because if we can't score runs, then it's the spin that will bring him some wickets. Oh,
his voice is high-pitched and ginger hair like a picked, but massive runs he has hit, so there's that.
And he goes back in his crease to a ball that he really should have gone forward to, Joe Root, actually. And that ball goes to Silly Madon on the bounce. We need shorter jingles. No, I'm joking. Good ball just on off stump, and Root plays forwardly, and it is descended upon by a phalanx of Indian short fielders. And actually, if it carries on at the rate we're going, we might be on for the end here.
Yeah.
I don't know if you had plans for the third session, but you might need to change it. As again, Root goes back in his crease to the ball that doesn't turn, and again just does nothing more than block out. I think that might have been a record. I think we managed to get to Akshar Patel's jingle in his 6th over, which I think might be the longest spell in cricket without a jingle, as Root drives this final ball of the over down to mid-off, and there'll be no run. Who's in charge of social media?
I am. Mayank says England can salvage this test if this partnership can bat all day. Well, yeah, that would help.
And all day tomorrow.
59 overs left in the day's play, so he could score about 150 and get right back in this. Easy peasy. I like your positivity there.
I can answer that. You nuts.
Neil Franklin says, in reply to the light roller who was asking who was the duffer in 1981, and he's put Mike Brearley probably, and I think you might be right actually there.
Yeah. Duffman cannot be killed, only the actors who play.
And chronic maths debater.
Wow.
Try saying that. This has to be the end for Bairstow. The Ashes' chances are slim enough without him being in the team.
Well, we've got an entire summer to go first before we start contemplating about Ashes and the like.
I can't see Bairstow being part of the summer.
Well, therein lay the answer to the question, as Ashwin comes around the wicket to Stokes with the ball again that doesn't turn. The slightly quicker ball from Ashwin, and Stokes manages to get his bat down in defence, as we see that our commentators in India have managed to eat a cake from the inside and left the outer ring completely Yeah, it's like they've eaten the inside of the cake. Stokes defends that ball back
I
to
think that's just
the bowl.
the icing.
Isn't that just the icing? Do you think? You
I
know,
was
just
just wondering what you were talking
graphically, it looked like they'd eaten the middle of the cake as Stokes leans back in his crease and cuts this ball away, but can only find cover, and there'll be no run.
One of them's dangerously wielding a knife towards the cake, so I assumed that the cut is about to happen.
Is it like in weddings?
As Stokes defends that ball on leg stump. If they're talking about a duffer in number 3 in 1981, surely that's Chris Tavares.
Oh.
But even I've heard of Chris Tavares' exploits in India, so...
Oh, and that ball beats the outside edge, the ball that does turn this time, but Stokes is comfortably inside the line, and it just Pant takes a good ball behind the stumps.
The cake's been cut. The cake's
been cut. I declare this cake open.
At least he'll stop waving his knives at the others.
Yeah, and now as the trumpets play, as that ball is well flighted again, maybe a bit too full. Stokes just dribbles the ball out towards mid wicket, and there is a quick single taken. Stokes goes to 2. England to a mighty 30 for 3, trailing by a mere 130 runs. Annie.
Yeah, Mogg says, well, that's just an unfucking lucky dismissal.
Well, true.
Well, it really, really was. I don't know. Did you see that one, Jack? Was that the one you saw?
Yeah.
Tony Bishop says, selfishly, I'm hoping for A, the much preferred option, England build a defendable lead, or B, a mercy killing by India to leave me with a Sunday morning lie-in.
Yeah.
And a ninja says, day 4, session 2 commentary duty. What was I thinking?
Yeah.
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 Foolish.
Time off for good behaviour, I think. That's what it might be. As Patel is in, and Stokes has swept that ball, and he has swept it off his own arm and into the gleeful hands of Virat Kohli. The pandemonium continues. 30 for 4, or 3:30, whichever way you want to describe it. He's just swept it straight to Kohli.
Yep, that's exactly what's happened. I mean, even the crowd can't believe how bad England are. Normally you get some animated shots of fanatic Indian supporters, but no, this time just people shaking their heads.
It's worthwhile remembering while all of this chaos is going on, because there's been lots said about different reasons for why different collapses have happened. At a stage in the Indian first innings, they went through a period of going for 200 for 1. You know, from 148 for 6 to 365 for 6. For 365 for 7 before those fall of the 3 wickets at the end of the innings. This is not an exploding beach of a pitch that all of these various excuses have been made. This is simply a side that is terrified to the point of being complicit in its own downfall.
Yeah,
you made us feel better anyway, Al.
I think that's probably about right.
Yes, I think you're right.
It's been a long month, hasn't it, for England?
Dave touched on the rotation policy, and I think it must have quite a lot to do with it. The fact that we are a bowler light, for example, in this.
I don't think that's rotation, though. That's just bad selection, isn't it?
Well,
Ollie Stone's there if you want him.
Yeah, and we've got quite
and
a lot
Mark
of
Wood's
reserves.
there, and Chris Wokes was there, and
All right, it's bad selection as well as rotation.
Well, you can end up saying that it's a combination of lots of things, but
mainly India are better. It's the one.
I think that's what you've got to start with. As Patel is into our new batsman, who we will jingle up in just a moment, he blocks the ball out, and it will be taken by a short cover. Do you want to jingle him while we've still got the chance? As he defends this ball to point. I initially thought that Stokes had swept it onto his arm. It had taken bat and glove, which is what allowed Coley to take the ball. As Pope turns that ball to square leg and will get off the mark, which I feel like there's a cake that we should cut for every
run.
Every run.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, going back to the players. We've also got 5 reserves, haven't we?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, does anyone fancy T20 tomorrow?
Well, well, the thing is that India did exceptionally well against Australia with their reserve team, didn't they? So maybe we should have thought about that.
Patel is in again, and that's been a top edge sweep, and that will fall, well, for everybody's benefit, harmlessly. Slip runs round to do the fielding, but Root takes a lucky 2. He'll move to 18, but it is interesting that the simple introduction of a really good, world-class left arm, as we find out that Root's nearly hit the spider camp. The introduction of a good left arm spinner has completely negated Root's ability to be able to sweep the ball.
Yeah.
I think it's the pace he bowls. Quickfizz did a really interesting thing about this, and basically the pace Axer bowls at is unsweepable.
Seems to be. That ball, I think, hits bat before it hits pad, as Joe Root gets a good stride in defensively, probably sliding down leg side anyway. And that's the end of another eventful over, 33 for 4.
The Crunch says, do you think we could get an Australian arm of guerrilla cricket off the ground like what the South African boys have? Yeah, we should have one in every centre of the world.
Well, if we donate to Patreon, we can just send Hendo.
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, Hendo would love that.
Yeah, he doesn't like getting in aeroplanes.
Well, he also doesn't like getting up in the middle of the night.
Yeah, no, that's true. So let's not do it.
You make him sound like BA from the 18. Hendo's not getting on no plane, fool.
I didn't get many tweets done there.
Ashwin into Pope, and this ball hits glove and pad and dribbles out to Slip. So if you just want to slip one tweet in between balls, Annie.
Yeah, as we look at the cake, Anna Forsyth says, being hysterical in a bedroom, is that a euphemism?
Probably not.
And that's Hendo.
Probably not for Hendo. As Pope comes down the track, but just defends back to Ashwin, and there's no run. Ashwin in again and again. Pope comes down the track and deflects this ball leg side behind square, but there'll be no run.
I think this is probably an important innings for Pope to at least put some credit back in his proverbial bank.
Yeah.
After what's been quite a miserable winter for him.
Definitely.
Well, I think the thing to take into consideration is, again, a full-length ball, this time on middle stump, and again, Pope tries to play the ball just behind square on the leg side, and they do run this time through for a single. We've got to take into consideration the shoulder injury and the length of time out. So I think Pope might get a slightly longer rope than some of the others.
Yeah, maybe. Then you have to ask, why was he in the team if his shoulder injury is going to basically make him useless?
They seem to. Well, no, they seem to rush him back after the time away. That was what it was.
I get that, and I probably agree with you. I think he's probably got the highest ceiling of all the younger England batters, but he hasn't had a good series.
No, there's not many that have, though.
Root offers no shot to a ball that is pitching outside leg and not turning in. And
I don't think he had a great summer either, if we're being really brutal. I mean, you have to deliver at some point.
As Root half pulls, half scoops a short ball from Ashwin down to long leg. There'll be a single. Annie, I've stopped you reading tweets. I will stop you no longer. Go for your life.
Armchair Cricket Podcast says, a hysterical gorilla Hendo would have been a perfect accompaniment to an England collapse. Now with more staid and composed summarisers like Annie Chave and Cat and Gorilla Cricket may yet salvage this innings for England.
Well, I don't know. I think hysteria always lies beneath the surface of Group.
And Neil Franklin says Joe Root should change his name to Joe Root. Actually, I think that's absolutely just perfect for it. Leah says, I can't wait for English journalists to go back to blaming the pitch now that the English batting lineup fold like wet cardboard against Ash and Axer again. I know, it's a bit of a broken record, isn't it?
Well, we have folded like a cheap Italian suit, but it is it's nobody's doing but our own and good bowling, as Patel is in for the first ball of his over, a full-length delivery, which Root gets himself in a bit of a footwork befuddlement, but still manages to block the ball back to the bowler, and there'll be no run.
Well, I think that's the thing with... Sorry.
Right.
Back in the crease to a ball maybe he should have gone forward to, but again, plays the ball defensively, no run. Jack?
On Leah's point, I think the thing with this pitch has been really good for the game. Good bowling has been rewarded regardless of the type of bowling, and I don't think there's really been any batters who've been out to a lottery ball.
Nope, absolutely not. Root pushes at a ball, tries to beat mid-off, and Mayank will prevent him from taking a single. Root
Which is all we were asking.
Yeah,
this is all we were asking for, really. That's what we want. This is what we wanted.
And it's what we've got, and we still can't bat on it. Root plays forward defensively to a ball that just barely dribbles off the pitch, and there'll be no run. 35 for 4 as Root plays backwards. You wonder what's going through his head. Like, why did we bother? If I just get out now, sure. The no run again. Axar 2 for 9. I wonder
Jack,
if it
was it your write up, Jack?
It was from yesterday, yeah.
Yeah, it was great. I enjoyed that.
Thank you. Yeah.
I'm meant to be writing up tomorrow's play.
Oh, good luck, Al.
Yeah, good luck with that. Last ball of the over. Root plays back in his crease again defensively, and that's the end of the over. Annie.
Roger McCann says this series has echoes of India in England in 2014. Trying to remember.
Was that
4-1? It can't have been good.
I think that was 4-1.
That was one where Kohli didn't score any runs, and then he came back with a vengeance, didn't he? 4 years later, having worked on his flaws.
Leah says, no, I've done that one. Messenger says, I think it's pretty clear that Bairstow's future lies in playing the role of the red M&M being deserted by his fellows M and MS.
Well,
anyone know what that means?
He's talking about the M&M advert. I think he may have a point. Quite who the yellow M&M is going to be, I'm not quite sure. Oh my! Ashwin must be bored taking wickets. We've got a change, and we're going to have pace. This man is going to come into the attack.
I enjoyed watching him bowl.
Yeah, he's good. I really rate Siraj. I think he was a big find from that India tour, wasn't he, for India?
Siraj in first ball to Pope. Beats backward point barely, but there'll be no run.
They use find quite loosely there, because I think Siraj was people knew of him, but really
but he really came to the front, didn't he?
The best way of saying it is that Siraj today owes Washington Sundar at least one drink. I don't think he quite got the context of I've never scored the Test 100 and I'm 96. Did feel sorry for him. But it is going to be
though.
True. And there's Siraj again. Good line just outside of stump, kind of like that 6-7 stump line. And Root plays the ball defensively. So Pope must have got a single off that first ball at the beating point. They must have ran through pretty quickly because Pope was stood still by the time the camera got to him.
Apparently
so
they wouldn't be able to get
3.
that. Apparently they wouldn't be able to get that drink, Al, as Gujarat is a dry state.
He needs to drive Washington Sundar to a non-dry state and then buy him a drink.
Oh, so pedantic.
Yeah. Sorry about that for my Indian geography fail. As that ball is defended into the offside and there'll be no run. As we see the wickets, It's a good job. It's a good job they're doing this when Siraj has got a long run up, because there's been so many. Have we had any updates from Hendo? Is he all right? Is he just lying down with a cold compress, or has he gone into full delirium?
Heard from him. He's probably he's probably still laughing somewhere.
I don't think he's HAPPY though, as Siraj is in again. Little shuffle across his crease, but he's resolute in defence, and that ball is fielded at cover, and there'll be no run.
A Ninja says, what a pity England played the test matches with their B team. Now we know why India is winning the series.
Well, I think there's going to be
a lot of chatting.
I think there's going to be plenty of time to be able to take the blame pie and cut it into the resolute portions, and there's plenty of it to go around. Doesn't the first test seem like an ever such a long time ago? As that is a fuller length ball just on off stump again. Root plays the ball to mid wicket, but there'll be no run.
I'm not sure I'm a big buyer of the rotation policy costing England, to be honest.
You're not?
I think the skill difference was probably too extreme, particularly on the second 2 wickets. I think it didn't help that England's spin pool is quite shallow, and I think they probably made a few iffy selections for the touring party in general.
That ball again, full length ball, and Root originally went to play it defensively, but static fielding from India has allowed Root to take a single off the last ball of the over. He'll be on strike on 20.
I think I was just going to say, I think as far as the rotate, you're always looking for something to blame when you're doing badly. So yes, it might not be totally, but I think the loss of Butler has made a difference. But of course I would, because I like Butler a lot. So anyway, moving on. Turtwit. I'm good at this. Morning from sunny Parle. Thanks for persevering. Come on, New Zealand.
Sunny where?
P-A-A-R-L.
The Somerset in you came out there for a second.
It's wine region in South Africa, I think.
Yeah, and why are pirates great, Annie?
No, I'm.
Why are pirates great, Annie?
I don't know.
Because they are.
They are.
Patel is in and Root has swept him, and all of a sudden it all looks well with the world as it goes in front of square. Runs, I tell you. Runs, mother. 4 of them. Play all the 4 jingles.
Every run is vital. Push up the run rate. If the batsman shoulders arms, Gary gets irate.
I've not heard that one.
Well, welcome to the random jingle generator as Root goes back in his crease and defends to the next ball of the over. Oh, what else have we got? Do you request as Patel is in and Root plays the ball just defensively, fielded at short point, and there's no run.
I'm just
if you want any jingles playing, we've got 2 days free. DJ Knackle might well do this, as this ball is more on leg stump, and a combination of Root's bat and his pad will dribble that ball back to the bowler.
I'm just going to try and get some tweets in when I can. Armchair Cricket Podcast says, hats off to the younger Indian batsmen in this 11 who have saved India's blushes and taken them to a strong position.
Yeah, it's something to bear in mind is that India from a batting lineup haven't really fired either, as Root plays the ball to point and there'll be no run. Oh, and gets hit by the ball coming back in from the fielder. There might be a small break in proceedings as Virat Kohli comes in to apologise, and then turns away and laughs at him, which makes me think that the apology wasn't quite sincere. Virat Kohli has quite literally a terrible throw in, which Pant has no chance of being able to stop, and the ball spits and turns on the pitch and hits Joe Root amidships.
Yes, and well, no wonder he's laughing. It
well,
funny.
you know, Joe Root, for those of you who like music, has hit an upper high C. As we will try and get back to cricket. Axar Patel, a good ball just outside off stump, spins away, and Joe Root, probably just to make sure his entire body is in working order, gets a good stride forward, but plays no shot. End of the over.
Matt Hardy says, this is abysmal. Bugger this, I'll go and get another beer. Don't blame you.
Don't blame you.
It is unlucky, but is it that unlucky if you hit straight to a fielder on the full? That's a reply. I have this weird feeling that Stokes forgot there was a leg slip. Seriously, I'm quite long way behind. So
Yeah, that's my fault. I do apologise.
That's okay. It's usually my fault as well.
I think Annie, you're staying on. Jack, you and I are off. Not that we'll be back on again. Or one more over.
Do one more over.
One more over.
Yeah, just maximum confusion there, Al. Nice work.
God, it's all. I saw David Brooke appear for a moment. It was like a vision from a dream as Viraj is in and that ball is on Ollie Pope's leg stump as he blocks that ball to mid wicket, and there'll be no run.
Jack,
I don't know what dream.
I'll ask Jack a question.
Oh, is that the voice of God?
Jack, you said there was selection. You didn't agree with the selection for the tour. Who would you have included and who would you have left out?
I would have had at least one of the leg spinners in the main squad, I think, just as a reserve, really, or with a view to playing maybe in this match. And I wouldn't have had Bairstow. I just think it's people in other countries cannot fucking believe. You are allowed to say the F word on this show, aren't you?
I think you just have Siraj in again, and that ball is turned away by Pope to deep square leg, and there'll be a single.
I cannot believe the guy has played more than 70 tests for England. He's about as average, or he's about as known quantity in terms of averageness or subpar batting as you could hope to have. I mean, it's ludicrous that you take him again and give him another go. I don't really care who you take instead, or who you play instead.
You just wouldn't have Bairstow.
Yeah, I just think it's like such boys' club selection.
Well, we do boys' club selection because we don't pick on form. We've got previous for not picking on form. We pick who we like. As that ball is too full from Siraj, and Root drives the ball but is unable to drive past mid-off, and there's no run. And it happens in all formats of the game, Jack.
Yeah. They picked him because he's in quotes good against spin, based on series he played in 4 or 5 years ago sometimes. Before he made big changes to his technique to be good at white ball cricket. Now that has been a massive success for Johnny Bairstow's career, and he's one of the best white ball batters in the world. But it has torpedoed him in the Test match arena.
Too much on leg stump, and Roots flicks that ball away. But Ashwin is down there and will fire the ball back in from long leg, and there'll be 2 runs to Joe Root. There will be a change at the end of this over. Jack and I will go back to the bench. Maybe grab a cup of tea, something like that.
You'll be rotated out.
I'll be rotated. Yeah, I'm being sent home to prepare for the white ball series. I am due to be on after tea, although quite whether that will be the case, I'm not sure.
Oh, come on, let's be positive.
Too much on leg stump again, and Root plays the ball to deep square leg this time, and he will take a single. Just 1 ball left of this over. 45 for 4. England are, or another way of putting it, minus 115 for 4. All we need is a miracle. As we see some excerpts of Washington Sundar taking the plaudits of the partial crowd, although gotta be secretly kicking himself about the idea. He probably blames himself, even though Axar was too far out of his ground, and that ball is maybe bounced a little higher than Pope, but he's able to ride the bounce, and he beats a diving second slip, and he'll retain the strike. He's on 4. England 46 for 4. Nakul M. Pandey is going to be your next ball by ball guide.
Not quite.
Everyone.
Not quite.
Or is it David?
I thought it was me, unless you know better, Al.
It is indeed David Brooke, formerly of Channel 4, Channel 5, The Guardian, and LBW, to dismiss Ian Forth.
Thank you very much, Al, and thank you, Jack. Always good to hear you both. Talking great deal of sense. You know, I kind of agree with where Jack was coming from there, Andy. What did you think about the points he was making on the selection?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with him in Johnny Bairstow. I wouldn't have brought Johnny Bairstow. But then it's hindsight, isn't it, a little bit?
The thing is, Bairstow is a good player of spin and is proven as such in red ball and white ball cricket. And I think it's perfectly reasonable to make the case that you can't, on the one hand, say he shouldn't have gone home after Sri Lanka and that he shouldn't have been playing in this Test series. I think that's having it both ways.
Two different people, I think.
No, but I think the fact that you can, the fact that both of those opinions are out there and sort of held apparently seemingly equally by various people, I think gives an indication of how difficult this whole thing is. England couldn't keep the same bunch of players out there, and all of these rotation periods were decided well in advance, looking at this ridiculously busy year that England have, even without
COVID. But I keep coming back to the same point.
David, let me finish my point before you respond to it, so you can know what I'm responding to. Even without COVID, 17 Test matches, a T20 World Cup, and a bunch of white ball series, that is too long to keep the same squad together. Then you throw in COVID and the bubble, and the fact that and the extra pressure that puts on it. And I think the only thing that I would say that England have got genuinely, definitely wrong is the handling of Moeen and Bess in public. Like asking Moeen to stay on when you told him he was going home for his only break at home for 5 months was ridiculous and massively undermined Don Bess. It massively undermined Don Bess, and I don't know why Root needed to say what he said about Bess in public. That's fine within the team environment. I don't know why that needed to be said in public, and in the end you've kind of undermined your confidence in both of them. But for the rest of the rotations, I don't particularly have a problem, and I didn't see that there was a huge reason to change the plan that had been put in place with very clear objectives in mind, which is basically keeping everyone fit and healthy through this ridiculously busy year that England have. They have got their selections of the 11 from the players that they have available wrong, particularly in this test. You know, you've got Stuart Broad, Ollie Stone and Mark Wood all available forget the rotation for a second. I don't think there's massively anything wrong with any of the other 11s that they've selected.
You also have to keep them mentally healthy as well.
Indeed, I mean, there's so many different.
I think we shouldn't. I shouldn't underestimate the bubble effect and the COVID situation.
No, indeed. I mean, particularly, those players who were staying off the white ball series and for the IPL, which is an important part of England players' development, particularly ahead of the T20 World Cup. I've got a lot of tweets to get through, so I'm just going to go through.
Yeah, I am sorry.
That was a 3-minute answer you gave there, Nat.
No, okay, no, go. We're having a drinks break, so go ahead for what you were going to say, and then I'll go through some tweets.
What I would say is that there's, no one's questioning the need for rest, but I wouldn't have done it during this England-India series. If Butler had to rest, I'd have rested him for Sri Lanka. They're bringing people back for white ball, so it's not just about rest. It's about prioritising white ball cricket, and I think that's wrong. The India series should be treated like the Ashes. We wouldn't do it during an Ashes series. You wouldn't send a player home after the first test for a rest in an Ashes series, and I don't think you should do it in a series against India when there's a place in the World Test Championship, not if you're prioritising Test cricket, which is what Ashley Giles said they were going to do. And I'm blaming the England management. I think they got it wrong, got the timings of these rests wrong. Ludicrous situation with Marion Ali. Ridiculous to send Chris Wokes home when he could have been playing in this match. We've gone in with a seamer short. They've been riddled with selection mistakes all the way through this series. Not good enough. And apologists, no, I'm not having it. Sorry, disagree. Should be winning this series. Should be trying to win this series. When we last discussed this, you said the England team didn't expect to win this series. That was your argument, and I don't agree with that either. Here's 46 for 4, so we'll come back to tweets at the end of the next over. Perhaps you'll join in and give a view about this. And a very quickly taken single there by Pope, and it was he was running to the danger end, and he got there. He's moved on to 6, and Root is on 27. England are 47 for 4. They trail by 113 runs. In case that doesn't sound very much, India have to bat again as well. They've got another 10 wickets.
Indeed.
England are being hammered
should jingle up the
And,
change of spinner, the change of finger spinner, because this man's into the attack. Commentate over this. Playing it nice and quietly.
So England 47 for 4. I mean, there is obviously going to be a lot of debate about cricket in the bubble and all that, but I think we've got to take that with a bit of pinch of salt. Owen Morgan has been one of the selectors for this series, and I don't think that's right. I don't think England should be prioritising white ball. Let's down the leg side. Root has a little swing at that. He's on 27. Pope is on 6. The primacy of Test match cricket, that's what I'm arguing for.
Well, you know that I agree with you there, Dave, so I would definitely be on your side on the whole white ball priority.
Here's Ashwin and bowls, and that's played down by Root, and there's no run. And I suppose it's respect to India as well, in the same way as, we've got to treat a series against India as the ultimate challenge. And Kevin Peterson, I thought, was actually, I found myself agreeing with him on this, that it is the ultimate challenge. Maybe he wasn't taking the position he did because he scored those runs there. And I didn't agree with him on anything else, by the way, before I get pilloried by the Twitterati. Here's Ashwin, he bowls, and that's played out by Root onto the offside. They take another single. So Root going on to 28, and Pope is on 6. Knackle, we could squeeze a few tweets in here.
Not while Ashwin's bowling. I'll go at the end of the over.
Here's Pope now waiting for Ashwin, and he plays. Always tucked that one away onto the leg side, and there's no run. At the end of the over, 48 for 4. Over to you, Knackle.
Yeah, indeed. I should shout out some people on Crick Tracker who we've been a little bit remiss with today. Somaseti Garu Manavadu, Buddhadev Sal, Muthu Kumar, and several others are with us on Crick Tracker. On the Twitter, I'm going to skip through a few because we're a little bit behind. Harry Atkinson says a certain TV show is calling this an enthralling series. What? Well, David and I did both start today by saying that yesterday was one of the best days of Test cricket we've seen for a while. So there has been a lot of very good cricket in this series, as well as some less good cricket and some frankly irritating discourse. Leah says, I'm starting to think it's not the pitch that are unfit for Test cricket, but the England team. Let's all remember they did win a Test in India, which no one had done for 4 years. Message is giving us a Sheffield Shield update. Western Australia doing very well against Queensland at the Gabba. Cameron Green, 182 not out.
Hey.
Axar to bowl the new over, and Root plays it down, and then helpfully helps the fielder to pick the ball up by knocking it towards him.
He does that a lot, doesn't he? Hendo gets quite annoyed about it.
And what happened there? My picture went momentarily blank at Annie. Did you see what happened in that?
It was outside off stump, and he
No, sorry, Dave.
A little bit of it was back of a length outside off stump. He just sort of turned it on the bounce to slip.
He's still there as Axar bowls him, and Root is very solidly behind that. So Root staging, I was going to say a one-man vigil here, but you have to say that when England are on 48 for 4. If you're just waking up, you might want to go back to sleep. If you're an England supporter,
we're in a crucial half hour, aren't we?
We are in a crucial half hour.
Yeah, we really are, yeah.
There is a rearguard action going on here as Root plays that one out onto the offside. He's 28 not out, and Pope is on 6. And there'd been a freak dismissal to talk about. There was a freak dismissal of Dom Sidley, who was caught off the knee of the short leg fielder. I think was Gill. Was it Gill who was that short leg?
Yeah.
And that one beats the outside edge of the bat Root. So a nice ball there from Axar Patel, who's bowled well again. He's got 2 more wickets, taking his tally up. 2 for 13. He's already in his 10th over. Ashwin's 2 for 19. So the wickets shared between them. Here he is again, bowling to Root, hits him on the pad, goes down onto the leg side. There's no run there. 48 for 4, England. Congratulations to James Knights, who's won a lot of money on spread betting, selling England runs. So he's one person cheering from Spain, where he's listening to us. Well done, James Knights.
Congratulations, James. few people with us on Hot Mic. Damien says, it seems madness to me that supposedly elite level teams have not seemingly properly prepared for the conditions they were bound to face. Turn. We'll say again that England did win a test in this series and actually played pretty well. Well, it played brilliantly, in fact, in that first test match. But yes, it is. England had seemed to have worked out a method against the spinners in Sri Lanka and then in the first test, and it's all dissipated incredibly quickly.
That was the first ball of the over there. No run. Pope on 6. And for England on 48 for 4. Get a little bit of flicker on the old pictures here, so I haven't had a temporary blackout. Right, Root's got his arm on his hand on his hips, looking relaxed at the non-striker's end, as much as you can be when you're training by 112.
I think he's looking resigned.
Ashwin, down the wicket goes Pope. It's a big shot. It's got under that. Is anyone down there? No, it's gone for one of these maximums.
Gorgeous shot from Ollie Pope, and at least he's doing something against Ashwin rather than just prodding from the crease and hoping. That was a beautiful pick-up over long on.
There is still time to salvage pride, reputations, future places, reputations against spin bowling. It's all up for grabs, and Ollie Pope has that opportunity. He's on 12. He's out there because Zach Crawley was caught Rahani bowled Ashwin 5. Johnny Bairstow caught Sharma bowled Ashwin. First ball for naught, caught at leg slip. And Dom Sidley in a freak dismissal caught Pant off the knees of goal, bowled Patel for 3. That was what you missed in the early hours. Well, the second session after India extended their lead this morning. That's swept by Pope straight to square leg for no run. India extended their lead to 300. They got to 365 with Washington Sundar left high and dry on 96 not out. What a great innings.
You didn't miss any of it, did you, Dave?
I was there.
Yeah.
Ashwin down the wicket again goes Pope, but good to see him play a defensive shot, having come down the wicket. Committed defensive shot. He didn't go for a big shot there, but good use of his feet. He is known as a good player of spin. Hasn't shown it so far in the series, but while he goes for a reverse sweep, that was a poor bit of judgment there. When you're on 54 for 4 and you're trailing by 106 runs, Annie, is that the time to play a reverse sweep?
No, it really isn't. I think he just needs to keep a little bit calm after hitting a great 6. It's
that one spits a bit off the surface, hits him on the glove. So, bit of poor judgment there from Pope, following a good shot for 6. A pretty 20 is not what England are looking for, and that's all that Pope has supplied this series.
We really need to consolidate a little bit.
Certainly played it very badly. Picked evidently completely the wrong ball to play that shot to. Koba says, as someone who often says, I think it's the hope that kills you, I just like to thank the England team. Chris McGuire says, Indian spinners have 12 of 14 wickets, England spinners have 2 of 10. A case of immeasurably better use of the pitch. Going to skip through a few. John Alford says, morning lads from Madrid. Nothing personal, but I wish I hadn't tuned in. I'll stay to the bitter end though. My missus wants to go shopping, so I've asked her to give me about an hour. Venkatesh on a note Al was striking earlier, that 577 seems like an anomaly now. Yes, built on a wonderful innings from Joe Root, which looks better and better than even it did at the time.
He's still there now.
Lord Dr. Bungle, which is an excellent name. I'll read his tweet after this ball.
And that's played by Root to extra cover, no run.
Says, you are making this spectacle of a desultory England being crushed into powder a memorable experience. Greetings and thanks from Melbourne. Well, thank you, Lord Doctor.
Very kind. And here's Axar. That spins away from Root. So Axar Patel, one of the, I guess, players of the series. You'd have to put him right up there, wouldn't you? If not the player of the series. I mean, Pant would give him a run for his money after that innings that we saw yesterday. Here's Patel. Gives that one some air, and Root drives straight to Kohli at extra cover. 54 for 4 England. Who would you nominate as your player of the series, Annie?
Possibly Axar, actually. I've really enjoyed his bowling.
And here again he's accurate, but Root manages to tuck that one away. There's no mid wicket, so he gets a single and he's off strike.
I think we shouldn't underestimate how good the bowling has been from India.
Yeah, particularly as everyone was saying what a big hole Jadeja was going to leave. I was one of those people saying and the way that Axar came in the second test and made such an impact. Pope covers up this time and there's no run. Pope's on 12. I mean, from his very first ball, wasn't it? The first ball he got a wicket, I think, in the series. Correct me if I'm wrong, first or second ball. 55-4, and here's down. That's swept, but lucky to get away with that, Pope. He's not learning from his errors here. When he plays straight, he looks a good player. Doesn't look so good when he plays a shot like that. That's gone directly behind him, and they've gone through for 3. But it was a pretty much of a well, could have been a sort of error, wasn't it? Error judgment. Risky shot, that's what I was looking for. I mean, other players have got out like that already. One thinks of Stokes and Bairstow all trying to hit it behind them, as it were.
He definitely seems to be wanting to accelerate at the moment, doesn't he? I mean, there's no point staying there and not scoring, of course, but
the danger is, of course, that he gets out again for a score under 30. Unless you're a spread better, where you'll be hoping he does get out for a score under 30.
I'm not a spread better.
It's been a bit frenetic from Ollie Pope. I mean, he, rather than, I use the word frenetic rather than positive or decisive. There's been, and he's slightly summed up England in this sense. They've gone from, rather than, so through Sri Lanka, 2 tours of Sri Lanka in the first test, they were very good at getting right forward, getting right back, working singles around, which is the absolute key against spinners, is being able to score runs without taking too many risks, working singles around. And it took basically one bad innings in the second test match for them to completely abandon all of that and revert back to apart
headless chickens.
Well, with a few honourable exceptions, Stokes in one innings and Crawley in one innings, to block, slog, hope.
That was given a boundary in the end down there, so Pope stays on strike and again turns that one round the corner. It's a risky shot with a leg slip and a short leg. Again, the ball has gone almost in the same position. This time though, it's buys. He didn't get a touch on that, so it's actually spun away, so I can't blame Pope for that. But it's gone for 4 buys. Do we have a jingle for that?
1, 2, 3, 4.
The buys jingle is really long, so I'm not going to bother playing it. That bounced as well.
Yeah, you can't really blame Pant for that either.
No, he did a dramatic dive as well, didn't he?
Yeah. How much of yesterday did you manage to see, Annie? Did you catch any of yesterday's play?
Yeah, a little bit. Not
that was a great day
thing,
Test
obviously.
cricket.
Yeah, it was
Ashwin,
brilliant.
And Pope covers up for that one. He's on 15 now.
Did you get it all? Did you?
No, watched the second and third sessions, and once the new ball was taken, it was carnage. The second new ball, Pope plays that one defensively, and there's no run. England on 62 for 4 wickets. They still trail by 98 runs. 98 required to get India to bat again. That's down the leg side again. It's a bit risky with a leg slip there, but it's this time I think it is off the bat, and there's a chase for a fielder that I can't quite recognise. Oh, it's Sharma's done the chasing, but and it's just off the. Is it off the bat this time?
Leg bias.
Nope.
It's leg bias this time. Okay, so the ball turning away, and let's see whether the wicketkeeper had any chance with that one. No, well wide of him, and actually it could have been stopped by leg slip, couldn't it? Almost. And round the wicket goes Ashwin, and this one spits off the surface again. Pope is defensive. England on 64 for 4, trailing by 96. Your nominations for Man of the Series, send your tweets at Gorilla Cricket. Ackle's waiting to hear from you.
Yeah, because he hasn't got enough tweets.
And Ashwin, and a reverse sweep again from Pope. This is really not what England supporters would expect to see in Test match cricket from
His
Pope.
captain
15
should be
not
coming
out.
down.
England 64 for 4.
Yeah, there are some players who reverse sweep very well. Ollie Pope, judging on the evidence of the last 2 overs, is not one of them. Ravi Nair says, I figured out England's problem. Not enough names in the team. Dom has to be shared between 2 players, as has Ben. How can we win a match with only 9 names on the field? And Anna Forsyth says, don't forget woke Stokes folks sharing name endings. Therein lies the root of the issue. Anna Forsyth says, 25 minutes ago, so this is how far behind I am. Never mind the first test seeming a long time ago. Siraj's run-up is so long, I don't remember the start of the over. Josie Oak says, went for a coffee and a little bit of shopping at lunch and they're 4 down. Fred Truman mode, I just don't know what's going off out there. What's going off is excellent bowling, and less than excellent batting and a bit of bad luck. Martin Lawrence says, so we are looking... I'll come to that after this ball.
And that's from Axstar, and there's a quickly taken single by Root, and they make that without too much fuss. Root goes on to 30.
Well, actually, this is too big a topic for this point, but Martin's talking about changes for the next series, which is quite a long time away, that 2 series against New Zealand, 2 match test series against New Zealand.
It'll be all different
June.
by then.
Indeed. Chris Wokes and Sam Curran, probably one of those 2, for example.
It's Patel, and that one spins away from Pope. He was left feeling for that one. Well taken by Pant behind the stumps.
Root taking a quick single. He's obviously happy with Pope to face the bowling at the moment.
Pope again tries a sweep, and again it's unconvincing. I'm not quite sure. He looks like he's got a death wish out there.
I hope Root's talking to him.
Yeah,
seem to have made
that's a good point. Yeah. Why isn't Root having a word with him? That was a sweep shot, which again he didn't know where it was going. It could have gone anywhere, and but he keeps trying to play either the sweep or the reverse sweep. He looks a much better player when he plays straight, but he seems to be determined to get it over with. 15, and that one beats the outside edge of a defensive shot from Pope, who is still there, but again, as so often in this series, his innings have been quite skittish, and doesn't have any sense of permanence, which you really want at this level.
Doesn't make you feel relaxed watching him, does it?
I take the point that Uksha's quite difficult to come down the track to because he's quite quick and flat, but he's not helping himself.
And that's out. He's stumped by Pant. It's the end of Pope. It was only a matter of time. Beautiful bowling and a very poor innings from Ollie Pope there. I mean, he looked like he got himself out many times. Lovely smart bit of work behind the stumps by Pant. Pope is out. Stumped for 15.
What was that about Aksha Patel being difficult to come down the track to? Well, he was damned if he did and damned if he didn't, and he was damned every which way, Ollie Pope.
That was poor batting. I don't think he was damned if he didn't do that.
Well, it didn't look like he felt he had any sort of scoring options. He got himself into a complete hole throughout this innings, Ollie Pope, having started off looking quite good. And even though Rishabh Pant actually slightly fumbled the take because it bounced up at him, it meant that he was he was so far down the track and beaten by such a distance that he was a long way short. Not really sure why the third umpire decided that was, or rather why the third umpire was called upon.
A great piece of keeping, but I would question. I know runs were hard to come by in conventional means, but if that's the situation in a Test match, Knuckle, then Ollie Pope's job was to stay there. This is a Test match, and if runs are hard to come by, you dig in and you don't give your wicket away. And it looked like he was going to give his wicket away 4 or 5 times there. I'm very disappointed with that.
It was not a good innings at all. And you're right, he was skittish. I use the word frenetic. And he didn't really look like he had much of a plan to either score or survive.
Like I said, I don't understand why, if he's batting with Root maybe he was, and he just wasn't listening.
Anyway, let's herald the wicket of Oliver John Douglas Pope. Good bowling. Aksha Patel and Ashwin have completely worked over Ollie Pope again. Lots of people agreeing with you, including Nitin Bajaj and Adrian Lowe and a few others, about the relative importance with which England are treating this series. Daniel Foreman says there are criticisms of the selection, but it's hard not to think it would only have affected the margin of defeats.
Yes,
a few people have. Josie Oak is also saying that India have simply played better than England throughout this series. He says, skipping through a lot of tweets. And India Dutta says, ladies and gentlemen, presenting the Dancing Pope.
Very good.
Anyway, this brings England's specialist bat at number 7 to the wicket.
Yes, let's a lot lies on his shoulders.
I think we're beyond that point.
Is it? Dan time. Yo, I'm Dan Lawrence, new to the scene. I can open up the bat and I'll come down to 3. Those pace bowlers don't want it with me, cause our bat is our bat for a century.
Lawrence is the new batsman, forward defensive he goes. They've got a very interesting field for him, which consists of a lot of people in very close catching positions on the offside. But that's the end of the over. We'll come back to that concept. They've obviously got a plan for Lawrence. He's there because Pope is out. Stump Pant bowled AXA for 15, and in England are 65 for 5.
I would agree with this call from Nitin Bajaj. Man of the series, Akshar is an obvious choice, though a case can be made for Rohit. His runs have been a major difference maker, and I think that's a very good shout in a bowling-dominated series. Rohit Sharma has been excellent. You can make a case for Ashwin as well, runs and wickets, but I think Akshar will get it. That's now, what is that, 25 wickets in the series at 10.24.
He's made a huge difference.
Which is frankly outrageous. And yeah, he probably would have played that first test had he not got injured in the warm-up.
Yeah.
So Ashwin to continue with his round-the-wicket attack, this time to Joe Root. He's been there for 71 balls, and he faces... does that hit him on the pad? And he's given out. That's it. 71 balls and out. Hit him on the back foot. From Ashwin round the wicket. He's going down to have a chat with Lawrence. May as well review it. There's not much to come in the hutch, but original decision is out. So it's LBW. He's having a chat with Lawrence. He must have already given the signal to review, presumably. England review. The original decision is out. We're going to wait for the replay. Got stuck on the back foot there, Annie, didn't he?
He really did. It was bizarre. Wait.
It's an inside edge there, isn't there?
Oh, he did hit it. He hit it.
It's quite a big inside edge, isn't
Yeah.
it? Oh, actually, wait. Is that back pad first? I wonder, actually. Because he's gone back on his crease, which he does do very well, and he plays very well with spinners off the back foot. But he was sort of sliding onto him.
There's no spike for the bat. He hasn't touched that, I'm afraid.
No, it wasn't. We thought it was inside edge with that deflection onto the pad. But what's actually happened is it's hit the back pad, then bounced onto the pad, and then the bat has hit the back pad. So that is a very good decision with bat and pad very close together by the umpire.
That is out, I'm afraid. He didn't touch it. It's hit him on the back, but we'll just wait for ball tracking now. And
it's right in front of the stump.
Looks like it's bang in front. I just said he'd been in for 71 balls. That could be the limit of it. 71 balls. He hit 3 4s in his stay, and it could be a stay of execution here as we wait for the verdict from the third umpire. And
Gubby needed him to stay in.
Well, still looking at whether it hit bat or pad first, and I think they have decided that, as we did, that it was pad first. Hit him in line, hitting off stump. Can see why Root thought he hit it, because I think we all thought he did for a split second, but then
he didn't look confident though.
Nitin Menon has got one right, and I think he's actually umpired very well in this series. Great series and great tour for Joe Root, really, or great sort of 2 tours in that sense. 30 off 72, England 65 for 6 and sinking.
Oh, God.
Go OUT the window, go OUT the window, go OUT the window, 'cause OUT spells out.
yeah, it's a bit of an anticlimax this to the series. England going down with not so much as a whimper. 55 for 6, and I'm going to ban James Knights from sending me any more direct messages, because we know you're an England fan. You've made your money by betting against England, and you've now made a lot of money with Pope Bear going and Root going, and now you've just got folks. At the end of the over, we're going to pass over to Grubby, who's going to take you through the next half an hour. Cheers, like an audible cheers from the gallery, even from my co-commentator.
It's got nothing to do with you.
No. Oh, no, we all cheer for Grubby. And also, are we going to see Forky back? Is he Forky back with us?
We'll have Grubby, Cat and Forthy at the end of the over, assuming that England don't lose 4 wickets in the next 5 balls.
Well, we've got 5 balls to go, so assuming this one runs the course... Oh, I'm getting into gallows humour now myself. There's still 4 wickets to go, and batting at number 8 is this man.
And folks, that's who I am. I could keep a 4-ringer line. The gloves are on, up to the sums. I'm too much better than that best so chumps. I come alive in a test match. One day or T20. But first they've got to pick me. I wouldn't be a liability.
Let's hope he lives up to the jingle, which is a jingle full of power and defiance.
I'd feel a bit more confident if Butler was there right now.
Yeah.
I have to say, but bringing up the whole Butler.
Well, as long as Butler's having a good rest before he comes out for the T20.
Yeah, as long as
I think he's already in India. He must be, because the T20 series starts next
He's
week.
probably quarantining in the white ball nets. Here's Ashwin coming over the wicket now to Folkes, and Folkes plays that to mid wicket, and there's no run. So yeah, I think that's going to be possibly the last over I commentate on in this series. It has been a great series to watch. There's never been a dull moment.
No.
It's just, and from India point of view, I'll just take the India perspective. It's been fantastic performance
Brilliant
by
young
India,
players,
and great to see the young players, and forward defensive by folks, and great for Test cricket in India.
Yeah.
You know, that's where Virat Kohli, I think, has been done so well to galvanise this team and almost change the course of world cricket by getting everyone behind the Test match team. That's down the leg side, and by folks, is he going to go off the mark, or is it a leg by? We'll wait for the umpire's signal. It's 1 run, and I think it is a leg by. Folks remains on naught. Yeah, so full marks
it's
to him.
vitally important that India stay interested in Test cricket.
I mean, that Pant century yesterday, and the joy that brought to millions of Indian fans watching that, and neutrals, and England supporters, dare I say it, when you see someone batting like that, when a new star arrives on the stage. It was absolutely brilliant from
it was
from
pure
Pant.
entertainment, wasn't it?
But also born out of a really dogged and resolute first 50. It was the way, like Ben Stokes, he was capable of going through the gears, like Stokes in that famous innings in the Ashes.
Absolutely. Even if Best did get him out.
Yeah, and I won't mention Bess. I was trying to avoid that subject while you were here, in deference to his Somerset heritage. And down, folks plays that one down. So and thanks very much to Hendo and all the Gorilla team who've done a fantastic job on the coverage. I've just popped in for a couple of sessions here and there, but their coverage has been brilliant this series. And down goes down on the leg side. And also to Knackle, who's been coming in all hours of the morning to get this coverage on the road.
He's a workhorse, that Knackle.
Yeah. That's a single to Lawrence, who gets off the mark. That's it from me. Over to Grubby, who I'll be speaking to later on regarding racing from Newbury and Kelso.
Look forward to it, Dave. Thank you.
Hi, Grubby. I only wanted to say hello.
Oh, hey, Annie. Great to see you as ever.
Bye-bye.
I'll see you very soon. So, can England make it to tea on the third day of this final Test match of the series? 66 for 5 is the score. England still plenty of runs behind, and India have batted once in this game. Sorry, 67 for 6 is the score. Joining me, I believe, is Kat. Hello, Kat. How are you?
Hello. Hey, how are you going? Hi, Grubby.
And 4th is back as well. I think I'm outnumbered by Melburnians. Happy to be so.
Yes, well, we've still got a couple of hours. Still got a couple of hours sunshine left here. Is the sun up in London?
It is indeed. Forward comes Dan Lawrence. It's Axel Patel starting a new over. Excellent figures of 3 for 18, and he's just into his 13th over now. So he's
That's not a Melbourne accent, though, Ian, is it?
Well, I'm 16 years in this fair city now. Having come
Lawrence
over in
gets back and cuts this one. This is a rare moment of relief in this England innings as he cuts that one successfully to the backward point boundary for one of these.
It's Nissan She. It's Nissan She.
15 years in Melbourne, is that what you were saying there, Forthy?
2005, yes. I came over in August 2005 and there was snow in the suburbs of London. When I left Brighton, in fact, it was about 85 degrees, so I thought I might have made the wrong decision.
Axel coming round the wicket with 2 slips and a forward short leg. Lawrence is back in his crease, turning it into the leg side, and they come through for a sharpish single, taking the score to 72 for 6. All smiles among the Indian fielders, and why not? In a dominant position in this Test match and in the series. We're just seeing a replay of the end of Ollie Pope. That was a pretty average innings from him today. By average, I mean poor.
Yes, I think there's been some theories. England must either get forward to smother the spin or watch it very carefully onto the back foot. Well, we've just seen Ollie Pope get a long way forward, and here we go.
Folkes is forward in defence, playing a little bit airily towards extra cover where it's fielded. No run.
and Joe Root playing a long way back, and it didn't help them. There's more to it than that. We just need to, we need to prepare properly and all of those things. But it's very difficult to play India in India.
Completely. And Pope, to me, my friend of mine, Jeej, made this point that he just looked a bit frazzled, and it was like he was trying to do several things at once, none of which was working for him. Forward comes Folks, plays it defensively towards mid-off, and there's no run.
Yes, his brain looked scrambled, didn't it? It looked very skittish. It's one of those innings where maybe if he'd have got to 20, he could have settled down and calmed down.
Round the wicket again, Aksar and Folks forward in defence, pushing it to short extra. There's no run. That's the end of the overs.
We've got some tweets here. I'm not entirely sure what we were up to.
Six.
Leah says, man of the series, Johnny Bairstow.
Very funny.
Oh, Johnny Bairstow takes a special player to make a second pair in the top 6 and not be dropped immediately. Good reasoning there from Leah.
Yeah, he really should be nowhere near the Test teams. It's not me after timing, said it at the time, and hopefully that is the end of his Test career for England. 73 games he's managed to play in this format of the game, and he's patently unsuited by it.
Didn't always look that way, to be fair, did it? Like 5 years ago, you'd have said, this is a guy who's going to take Test cricket by the scruff of the neck, but it's been a very sad procession in the last 2 or 3 years.
And then, as Knackle referred to it, the Bairstow Gate. We're not talking about any sort of scandal he's been involved in, but the between bat and front pad, which has got him into so much trouble in the last few years, and which he doesn't appear to be able to shut in any meaningful way. So, I like him, but it's good riddance from the Test team, as far as I'm concerned.
It's odd that a player goes back to sort his game out and doesn't sort it out. It reminds... Here we go.
Ashwin starts a new over, and Lawrence back in his crease. This one turns into him, takes him on the pad, drops down in front of him, and there's no run.
It reminded me rather of Gary Ballance, who went back to county cricket to sort his game out, and it seemed to be exactly the same when he came back again.
Yeah, I always thought that Ballance was a bit of a victim of an unusual technique. When it starts to go wrong, it's much quicker to they're much quicker to jump to conclusions when you have an orthodox technique like his. Close to the stumps, Ashwin, and there's that man in the sort of on Hayden position diving across, but he can't prevent a run being taken as the ball goes past him and is fielded at long on. So that's Lawrence on to 7, Folks yet to get off the mark, and England are 73 for 6.
Whereabouts are you in Melbourne, Annie?
I am in Box Hill area of Melbourne.
I'm very close.
My
I'm
local
in
club.
Burwood. I'm in Burwood, in fact,
really?
so I'm about 5k from you. Maybe not.
We're
even.
probably at the same shopping centre.
Burwood 1.
Yeah.
This won't mean
I know
much
it well.
to most of you.
Round the wicket comes Ashwin, this time to Folks, who is forward and flipping it into the leg side. There's no run for him there.
We really should be in the same... We're not under social isolation, so Forthy, we really should be in the same room doing this commentary rather than 2 different places.
It'd be rather cosy. I can almost hear you from where I am.
Down the leg side, good take from Punt there. Folks stretching forward to it, didn't get anything on it.
There's not long to go in this series. One question which was always asked was, did England make the most? Are we back to life? Yes. Did England make the most of India? Have they toured around? Have they seen the elephants and so forth? Is there any evidence of the England team going out on little trips and so forth on this tour?
That I don't know, I'm afraid. There's some great tales from that legendary 80s tour. This one is turned into the leg side by Folks, and he is going to get off the mark this time, having defended the previous ball. And that's the end of 74 for 6.
I do remember Phil Tufnell very quickly saying, I've seen the elephants, I've seen the poverty, it's time to go home.
Yeah, there was a nice a good article in the Cricketer magazine recently about that tour where Graham Fowler got a double century, Gatting got a double century, but Phil Edmonds sort of upped his kudos with his teammates by securing some sort of deal with Johnny Walker and being able to furnish the squad with that. And apparently, we're talking the mid 80s now, the early 80s. There was still a school of thought that from the medical staff that the odd nip of Johnny Walker might actually provide some sort of medical benefit for squad members. So there we are, different times.
different times. In fact, Phil Edmonds had a ferocious wife, Frances Edmonds, who seemed to be smarter than everybody else, who that the entire team seemed to be frightened of.
Formidable character, Francis, I understand. Forward comes Folks to match up Patel, who's continuing, and he defends this back up the track, and there is no run.
Not many English players with French names. Philippe Edmonds, I can't think of another.
Yeah. Forward comes Folks once more, defending it back to the bowler, and there's no run. 2 slips in place, a short leg. Fielder on in the sort of short cover point region as well. Back in his crease goes Folks this time, defending it once more, no run.
It reminds me of junior cricket when you're scoring and you're desperately trying to keep up when the spinner's on, shouting out bowler's name when you're scoring.
And they don't have tweets to read out either. Righted into the Midland leg region, and Folks tries to find a gap on the onside but can't do so. And there's no run.
Oh, Cat's just... Oh, right. No, okay.
I know, I just sent you a secret message so you can't,
I can see.
reveal what I just said.
Okay, fair enough.
It's a secret Melbourne story.
Mum's the word.
people.
Mum's the word.
But
Mum's the word.
I must say, I do have a glass of wine here. I've got it in a beaker so that people who are at breakfast in England don't feel as worried about it. But it is wine o'clock in Melbourne.
That last ball was just defended, by the way, and there was no run. Final ball of this Akshar Patel over. Nice bit of flight, and driven by Folks to mid-off, and there's no run there. It does complete the 29th over of this innings, and the score is 74 for 6. England still trail by 86.
Would you like some tweets,
I was told.
Grubby?
Yep, no, go ahead.
Please.
Tweets.
Okay, so Mog says, so upon whose head will the rage of the English press and commentatorati fall in the wake of this display? Who do you think is most to blame for England's latest fall?
Was that rhetorical? No, it was a real question.
I think Mog wants an answer.
Right.
It's only rhetorical if we don't answer, I suppose.
Yep.
Philosophy me that. I think I have some sympathy with David Brooks' view that the management has to take some responsibility. Sensitive to the fact that we do have to manage players carefully, particularly at the moment. We'll come back to that. Ashwin starts a new over, coming round the wicket to Dan Lawrence, who's back in his crease, defending it to the leg side. But yeah, it does obviously lack of priorities being the T20 World Cup later this year. So make of that what you will. You can agree or disagree with whether that's the right or wrong thing. Lawrence turns this one to the leg side. There's no run.
Again, look, I think I would probably draw a distinction between two things. Our attitude today, I think, has been poor, and we seem to be severely rattled.
This is defended into the leg side off the front foot by Lawrence. No run.
But against this Indian team, for me, rates extremely highly amongst all the Indian teams I've seen, and indeed many of the teams I've seen in this century, I would say.
Ashwin round the wicket again. This is flashed at off the back foot by Lawrence. A bit of a top edge. It's running down towards the third man boundary, and he's going to get a streaky one of these.
The number of the day. Who could ask for more? The number of the day is 4.
Yes, very good. I think to win in India, you'd probably need 2 spinners absolutely on the top of their game. Swan and Panesar coming to mind. But you'd also need 2 batsmen in the form of their life, and Cook and Peterson coming to mind. And lo and behold, when I actually sort of printed off all India's home series, and in the last 15 years, that was the only one they lost, I think.
This is turned into the leg side by Lawrence. It was Ashwin coming round the wicket once more, and once more he can't find a run. Yeah, that's right. I mean, I was, as an England fan, I was pretty nervous coming into this series because, as you rightly say, Swan and Panesar were instrumental in that monumental victory from 2012. And with all due respect, Leach and Bess are not those bowlers. This one is padded away by Lawrence, finishes that over. The score is 78 for 6.
We have loads of tweets. I'm well behind, so I better jump in here. Armchair Cricket Podcast says, yet another chance thrown away by Pope to cement a middle order spot ahead of summer. One feels that an obdurate 10 off 70 could have done more than his skittish 15. I think we agree with that. And then they also follow up with Root following Pope back to the hut. It's all over, bar the shouting. Unless Bess can help Lawrence stem this rot, the big-boned lady will be invited onto the stage shortly to close out the series for India. And Mog says, you can't trust Melburnians, Grubby. Keep close watch on your wallet. Do you know where your wallet is, Grubby?
That would be quite some feat to pickpocket me from 11,000 miles away.
My wallet here.
Well, if you just reveal your password, what's your mother's maiden name and your pet?
Folks, he's back in his crease. It's Axel Patel starting a new over, and he turns this one to square leg, or through square leg. They've run 2 and they're coming back indeed for the 3rd. So can't remember too many threes being scored today, or any test match in fact.
That sounded like a tweet from someone from Adelaide, Annie, I'd suggest.
Is that a big rivalry? I know there's a big sort of Sydney-Melbourne thing that goes on. But is
No, there's no real rivalry. It is actually more Adelaide worried about Melbourne and Melbourne worried about Sydney, but the rivalry doesn't really exist. It's always in one direction.
The Sydney always say that about Melbourne, don't they? That's simply not true, obviously.
Well, I remember, I'm an Ipswich Town fan, and I remember once Colchester were in the same division as Ipswich, and they were trying to make out it was this big local rivalry, and we just sang back to them, "You mean fuck all to us." Which back it up, really. Forward in defence comes Lawrence. It was actually coming round the wicket to him. No run.
On the subject of wallets, message is saying no reason Grubby shouldn't share his wealth with someone other than his bookie.
Yeah, I like to think it's a bit of a two-way street, that message, although it's not always the case. Lawrence comes forward in defence, playing it into the offside, no run. Yeah, we were
It's too early to say Folkes and Lawrence are looking a little bit more organised, at least.
Well, all we need is a 200 partnership and the game's back on.
We've got a couple of people wanting Grubby to lean closer to his microphone.
Was that from a few minutes ago? Because I've moved the mic closer. Back in his crease goes Lawrence.
I think you're louder.
Punches it to cover, and there's no run. So hopefully I'm coming through slightly louder and slightly clearer than a few minutes back. But do say if you're having trouble hearing me, and I'll make reparations. Lawrence facing up on 11. He goes back in his crease and plays a sort of a half cut, half punch off the back foot. He's going to get a couple of runs for his trouble.
The slower ball from Akshar, that one, wasn't it? Right, 7k slower, I think. Doesn't bowl many of those.
No, but I think the variations, albeit they might be subtle, are a big part of his armoury, aren't they? You were talking earlier on about that, the ball that goes straight on that's taken so many wickets for him, and oftentimes that's just by sort of hitting the shiny part of the ball rather than the official straight honour. As this one is defended by Lawrence, that completes the over. It's 83 for 6.
A couple of people saying, Suds in particular, saying that Bairstow has played his last test innings for England.
I truly hope
and the Hawks just saying sorry, but Johnny Bairstow has had 73 tests to fulfil his potential without ever doing it. So people are firing him, I think. Messy Jez, I think England would have only seen the elephants allowed into the bubble, so I don't think they've gone out on too many outings when they've been in India.
Is that the
and
new
Peter Ward is saying, yeah. So thank you for everyone for sending in your tweets. I am only 6 minutes behind now. It would have been Peter Lloyd saying, given it would have been a breach of the bubble to go out and see the sights, we hope they haven't been out and about. And Chris the Choir, C-Bar, saying, didn't Bairstow lose his central contract? Hope he's not been on a pay-for-play incentive-laden deal for this series, because he wouldn't have earned much money if that was the case, would he, Grubby?
It's weird because last summer, and quite rightly so in my view, he was nowhere near the team. And I thought, well, that's the end of it then. I can't quite work out how he's somehow gone back up the pecking order to such an extent that he's now batting at 3 for England in India. And all this nonsense about, he's a great player of spin, well, he's proven that that's not actually the case in this series. So anyway, that's enough about Johnny Bairstow. We've got a change of bowling. It's going to be one of the batting heroes for India coming on to bowl.
His name for his granddad or something with like that. So it turns out that you are looking at Washington Sundar.
Folkes defends his first ball back up the track and there's no run.
I think it was Jack who was on earlier who said yes, selection issues certainly, but probably affected the margins. I think it was Jack who made that point. I tend to agree.
Yeah, I mean, who's to say what would have happened if we all know better sitting in our
yes
respective lounges about what you should or shouldn't do think many people would agree that Bairstow was an unusual kick at best. This one goes down the leg side. Folks has nothing to do with it. But yeah,
that's a tact born of years working in advertising there. An unusual lad.
For those of you who don't know, Forthy and I used to ply our respective trades in the same advertising agency a good few years back in the Paddington area of London.
We did.
And we could talk a bit about that because it was Bose Massimi Pollitt, BMP, that's M for mother, not BNP, the other thing, and Tessa Pollitt, who was the Stanley Pollitt, who was the P of BMP. Tessa Pollitt, his daughter, was a member of the Slits, as you'll know, of course, Forthy.
I do indeed, yes.
I understand they were as well. This one is again down the leg side, and folks almost overbalancing, trying to play that. Another good take and a smart bit of work by Rishabh Pant, no doubt buoyed by his batting heroics. Can often affect other parts of your game when you do well in one aspect. And he's obviously brimming with confidence, and that's a really good take from a ball that bounced down the leg side, and he cheekily flicked it back onto the stumps, but folks had managed to keep 1 foot behind the line.
Yes,
it's a real shame that we can't hear Rishabh Pant's cackling when we've got this on silent here.
Latest ball was just padded away by folks this time. Yeah, oh God, I mean, he'd be super annoying, wouldn't he, if you had to day, but that's just part of the wicketkeeper's makeup, isn't it? Trademark. Folks.
We need some knuckle, we need some sound effects that are purely him laughing for every single delivery.
Folks tucks this one backward of square and gets himself a single. He moves on to 5.
I did see quite a nice little stat about Pant that he's already scored, I think, 3 centuries in 3 different overseas countries. Obviously, that's where countries are. Which is the only other wicket-keeper who can match that is Gilchrist.
Wow, that's rarefied company indeed. And he's famously scored a few 90s as well, hasn't he? So he hasn't always converted.
Yes.
Lawrence is on strike. He has 13. Folks at the other end has 5. It's 84 for 6. And this one is a bit of filth down the leg side, but it almost takes a wicket as Lawrence's attempted ball is top-edged. And the diving fielder just yorks himself, and it actually rolls away to the boundary for one of these.
Give it to me 1 time. Give it to me 2 times. Give it to me 3 times. Yeah. Give it to me 4 times.
Yes, and I think it's fair to say, isn't it, that if we only go back to the start of the Australia series, if only about 4 or 5 months ago, he wasn't even first choice keeper. And Saha, I think, started that series.
There's been some unusual selection policies. I mean, I don't. Perhaps not too weird to have Ridham and Saha. He's an excellent keeper in the side.
Yeah.
But not to have Rishabh Pant in some of those white ball squads where he wasn't even in those squads was lunacy, as far as I can tell.
Yes, I mean, Ridham Saha is indeed an excellent keeper, but he averages 15 from 13 innings since August 2017, according to my data.
We have a tweet here from Mog saying, funnily enough, it's Scotch o'clock in my bit of Melbourne.
That's a time zone thing. That's probably West Melbourne.
Defensively into the onside, there's no run. We're just seeing a replay of that previous shot from Lawrence, the top edge. Nearly caught by the man running in from the deep square leg boundary. That would have been a...
He hit it straight to him. It was incredible.
Defended by folks to leg slip. There's no run. That would have been a second ignominious dismissal, wouldn't it, in the match from Lawrence, who batted really well in the first innings before running down the pitch and being stumped by a mile.
I do quite like the look of Dan Lawrence, I think. I'm prepared to go back on that in a couple of years' time, but I think I like the look of him.
Folks pushes one just wide enough of, straight, but wide enough of the mid-off fielder such that he can get through for a single.
Just confirmation here too from production that Bairstow's on a white ball contract. He doesn't have a Test Central contract anymore.
Yeah. I think Lawrence is remarking his guard, perhaps. Ashwin is coming around the wicket, changing the angle.
It's also fair to comment that this series in no way matches the 92-93 debacle, which I think Andy Bull wrote a brilliant article on a few years ago, in which everything that could go wrong absolutely went wrong, even before they set off.
as Ashwin is in, and this is pushed to mid-on. There's no run.
So
Nigel Walker saying, well, this is a shit show, not to be unexpected, I suppose, but I've just got up and I was hoping for better.
The eternal optimist there, Bear. Not always fulfilled that optimism when watching England. Lawrence back in his crease and punching this one through extra cover. He's going to get at least a couple. Yeah, I think they'll settle for 2 there. So he looked.
I do remember from I do remember from '92. Chris Lewis saying he could get Vinod Kambli any time he liked, and as he approached a double century in the 3rd Test, Mike Atherton said, "Now would be a good time."
That wasn't the series, Forthy, was it? When Chris Lewis shaved his head bare and promptly got sunstroke. This is a big appeal for LBW. I don't think that's pitched in line with the stumps. It was Ashwin coming round the wicket. I think on first viewing that's pitched outside leg, which would negate the appeal immediately. Kohli playing his usual brinkmanship with the DRS timer, and sure enough, just as time runs out, he signals in a rather soft fashion, his own version of the soft signal, very undemonstrative.
That was out, that was out, that was definitely out. Was that definitely out? I don't know.
I mean, it's going to be close if it has pitched in line, but my initial reaction was it's pitched outside leg. What do we think?
It didn't look right. It just didn't look quite right. Having a look
Also
at the
might be
replay
turning
now.
too much.
I thought it was turning too much.
Replay.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's got a lot going for it, but hey, you
I think it's going down leg.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, let's have some more tweets then while the third umpire's getting up and running. Nestler's saying at this stage, at the stage now where I want England to fuck off so I don't have to get up for 2 overs at 4 a.m. tomorrow morning. That's a very good point. And Ravi Nair saying the rotation policy, the selection policy, England's dastardly use of 2 good spinners and Rohit Sharma, England didn't stand a chance, did they? Now let's go back to you, Grubby, for the result.
Yeah, it was missing the wickets, so not out, quite rightly so, as was given on the field. And Ashwin, who is a bit of a Stuart Broad when it comes to burning reviews off his own bowling, burns another one there. That's going to be tea. England have made it safe and sound to the tea break at 91 for 6, still 69 runs behind India, and they have their work cut out to take this game into a 4th day, I would imagine. Who wants to do a quick wrap up of that session? Well,
it didn't go particularly well for England. Let's start with that thought. We hadn't lost any wickets when we started, but we'd lost 6 wickets when we finished. So 30 overs, 85 runs, 6 wickets, a run rate of 2.8. That's pretty well irrelevant. Look, there was 1 or 2 strokes of unluck, disluck, unluck, poor luck, but overall. I go back to the fact that when the series was on the line on the last day in Brisbane, India played out of their skins and utterly committed themselves with a B-side. And selection or no selection, there's individual places up for grabs here, and some of the application was skittish to downright poor. I don't blame 1 or 2 of the players necessarily for getting out to the shots they did. And obviously Sibley was dramatically unlucky, but that was one of the poorest sessions in a 3 test sequence, which has been riddled with them.
Indeed, yeah, it would be doing well to be the poorest, given the run of low scores that England have had. But it was right up there, wasn't it? I thought Stokes' dismissal was lamentable as well. Basically, just sweeping it into the hands of Virat Kohli at leg slip. Pretty brainless shot. Bairstow just looked like, well, he was there for one ball, but sometimes when he gets out, his body language is awful. It looks like he's walked out there, thought that was going to happen, and walked back. And we've discussed him at length. Hopefully, nowhere near the test side again. But again, India just been fantastic, haven't they? Ashwin with his usual waspish consistency, 3 for 35 he has from his 13 overs, and the new star Akshar Patel, 3 for 28 from his 15, have basically decimated this England lineup. Kat, any thoughts from you before we go to tea?
I think England is still well over 50 behind. We don't really think they will have to bat again. So I think it's a really fascinating place for Ben Foakes to try and cement his place as well. Is he going to prove that he could be a challenge to Butler? Perhaps So he needs to get... I think they're all just going for personal bests now, aren't they, Grubby and Ian? They're just...
Yeah, you may as well. I mean, I think one corollary of the rotation and all that sort of stuff is that's been positive is to get folks in the Test side, which I've been calling for ages. I'm a massive Butler fan. He's a once in a generation talent, but I want folks in the Test side because he's just the best wicketkeeper. And call me a purist, but that's what I want in the side. So that's been
both and or either or. Would you say, Grubby?
I think at the moment Butler would struggle to get in as a batsman. Although the fact that we picked Bairstow, don't want to keep going back to it, might say otherwise. But I definitely want Folkes as my keeper. So if that means Butler doesn't play, then I'm afraid that's the way it has to be.
It's also fair to say when Alex Stewart opened for England, having just kept wicket for the entire innings, I think he stand to be corrected. He averaged around about 30, but when he was playing as a pure batsman, he averaged around 40. So it does make quite a dramatic difference.
Stewart, I believe, averaged more than Jeff Boycott opening the batting for England. So that's again, at the time, I was a big Jack Russell fan. I thought he was a bit harshly done to. But
yes, so I should have stressed when he was keeper as well. There's a degree of difference of about 10, which was absurd.
Yeah. Right, I think we've got something to play you during the tea interval. We'll be back in about 15 minutes, and I think we're going to hear Kat and Dan Liebke's interview with Michael Bevan, if the production notes are accurate. So
yes, that was fun. That's a really good interview. I hope you enjoy it.
Nice work. All right, well, and see you lovely people soon or another time.
When's the short
yes,
ball
thank you very much. I've enjoyed the day.
Pay yourself to play the short ball. The worst thing to do, play the short ball, or you're playing the short ball. Yeah, we're going to talk about playing the short ball.
So in case you hadn't realised, this segment is called The Short Ball, and in this segment we described, in undoubtedly a bit too much detail, Dan, a single ball of cricket and explain why it deserves so much attention. So first up, Dan will describe which ball we're talking about, and then we're going to talk about it in excruciating detail. Off you go, Dan.
Yes. So this one, we're going to go all the way back. We're going to go back 21 years. We're going to go back to April 2000, and this is part of ICC Cricket Week, which is an unusual concept. There was an unofficial ODI between an Asia 11 and a rest of the world 11. The Asia 11, they batted first. They made 9 for 320, which in the year 2000 was a very big score. Sachin made 80, Ganguly made 67. A wrist spinner named Michael Bevan took 1 for 61 from 10 overs, which was pretty economical, all things considered. Then in reply to that 320, the rest of the world had top scores of Mark Waugh, who made 28, and Jacques Callis, who made 27. And then there was Michael Bevan, who made 185 not out from 132 balls. So the ball we're going to look at is the second last ball of the match. Bevan has put on a 119-run partnership with Andy Caddick, the England fast bowling tail ender. He's made 23. And going into the final over, which was bowled by Abdul Razak, Caddick was on strike and they needed 20 runs to win. So they stole a bye off the first ball, which meant they needed 19 off 5 balls. And Bevan then just went 4-4-4, straight down the ground, then over cow corner, then a whip backward of square. So with 2 balls left, they needed 7 runs to win. Bevan chipped it over mid-wicket for 2, or it would have been 2, except Andy Caddick, coming back for the second run to the non-striker's end, failed to ground his bat and was run out by the substitute fielder. So the 2 became a 1, and instead of needing 4 off the last ball to tie, Bevan needed to hit a 6 to win. But sadly, the lofted drive down the ground landed just inside the rope, and it was only 4, and the rest of the world lost by 1 run.
Oh, exciting. And the highlights are, of course, available on YouTube. Go see the show notes for a link to that. Now, is that the way you remember it, Michael Bevan?
I remember lots of things about that match. that was one aspect of it as well. I mean, I guess just the simple things really count, don't they? And always have been told from a very early young age, always slide to bat. So it always helps, right?
It does. I remember I was watching this game on pay TV with my brother, and we were absolutely furious that Caddick didn't ground his bat, because we were just like, oh my god, he's going to get these runs. How's he doing this? And then when Caddick didn't ground his bat, we were just so angry with him. But this game's kind of a lost masterpiece. People don't really remember this as one of your great innings, which is a little bit sad. I think that's mostly because the Hansi Cronje scandal broke the next day from memory, and that kind of overshadowed everything.
Well, it could have. I think what I found with that match is that, as you've just said, I think you would have watched it on pay TV back then. But I'm not actually sure who